Hello everyone. A very good day to all present here today. On behalf of everyone, I welcome you all on this grand celebration of the World GNM Day here. It's an honor to be a member of the panel here on this platform and share my learning of German new medicines with everyone. I am Dr. Raina A Shaikh from Nasik, India. I am by profession a homeopathic doctor. I have done my homeopathy from Srimati Chandaben Mohanbhai Patel College, Mumbai. I am practicing homeopathy for last 23 years. So in these years of practice, what has added to my life is the German new medicine. And it was introduced to me by my husband who attended a seminar in Austria. And so when he came back, he was full of knowledge. We were both very excited because this was something new that we had learned. Like it was not known to us for quite long time that something like this existed. But as you know, when new things come into your life, it is a little difficult to accept them at once. So he was convinced because he had seen the results over there and all. But then for me to adopt to it in my regular practice, in my the medical field, it took me some time. But then how did I reach there? It is like, when I got to know about the German new medicine, I thought, why not apply? No, it may sound a little absurd, but I felt, why not apply it in my day-to-day life? So if there was a little acidity, I used to think, Arey, what happened in the family? What conflicts, what things went wrong in the family so that there is burning and all. So if there were, say, sneezes or allergic rhinitis, I started connecting it. And then gradually after seeing results, like before that, it used to be like chronic acidity or acute acidity, immediately pop up pills. But when I got to know, yeah, this is the cause of acidity, I saw that it was not necessary for me to get dependent on the pills. Even without that, the things were resolved. So that connection really brought in confidence that yes, this is the natural way where we can take into consideration and apply it into our medical field. So slowly and gradually, we started using this German new medicine in our practice. And even without giving medicine, we have seen cases resolved only with this. Today, I will be presenting a case of hypothyroidism. So why did I select this case? Because here I have just done counseling, and the therapy which was advised to her on the basis of German new medicine has resolved the patient's hypothyroidism. So for that reason, I have selected this case and I would like to present it to you. Just sharing the screen. Just okay. So this is a case of a 30-year-old female, and she was married since last 6 years. She had one child, aged 4 years, and she stayed with her mother-in-law, father-in-law, and her husband with the little baby. As a profession, she was a professor in the engineering college. Normally, what used to happen is she was a very active person. Like on waking, she used to be uh, up with her yoga, with her other exercises, her household work and all, and she was happy doing it. But as the things started becoming, kind of, she started gaining weight and she used to feel very lethargic. Getting out from the bed and forcing herself to do even her daily routine work was bothering her. Uh, so she was putting on weight, and as a result of which she was losing on confidence in doing things for her family and meeting people and things, and she was going into a kind of depression at that time. So when she visited her family physician for the same complaints, he advised her a few blood tests to be done, and in that the TSH levels were high, around say, 8.820. So she was put on tablet Thyronorm 50 mg medication, and she was having this since last 1 year. The day when she came to me, so a year before that, she had started with this medication. So these are her blood reports. You can see here the TSH was 8.820. So normally, when me being a homeopathic doctor, normally when we take the history, we take into consideration the entire background of the patient. That is, right from the childhood up to the date when she has come to us. What were the different, what was her nature like? What were the different problems she has faced? How did she cope up with certain problems? And all this we used to ask them. But when I went through the German New Medicine, I knew exactly what questions were to be put up to this patient, because I knew what can lead to hypothyroidism. So the personal history which I got from her, so she was married since 6 years. She was a very ambitious person. Though she was a professor in the engineering college, yet she was also taking classes for the 11th and 12th grade children. For her students in the college, she used to take them for field trips. She was a very active person in the college, like organizing seminars and, the project works when they had to do and submit. She would help them. And also, she was a very fastidious and a meticulous lady. So, when she was teaching students, she wanted that the students should get maximum and the best out of her. So, this was her nature. So, even after she got married, she pursued her job as she got married in the same city. So, and she was totally supported with her family, her husband, her in-laws and all, and everything was running very smoothly. She got pregnant and then she delivered the baby. So she was going to get a maternity leave for say 9 months, but she took it only for 6 months, because till 9 months of pregnancy she was working. She did not leave the job. So she was on the maternity leave for 6 months. But what during those 6 months, like after she delivered the baby, for the 6 months, she was not able to accept the changes that had occurred in her life, because she was very active on her feet, and she was in the college, and all of a sudden now she was engaged with her baby and the household work. And though she had a helping hand, she had maids and she was helped with her work by her mother-in-law, but yet she was not able to accept the changes. She was restless and wanted to resume back to the job as soon as possible. She wanted her life to normalize soon. So after 6 months, when she resumed her work, she found that she was not able to cope up with the additional responsibility of the child. So before her delivery, it was only the workplace and the household chores, which she was able to manage very comfortably. And now, when she started her job, even when she was at the workplace, she was worried about her child. And when she was at home, she was not able to cope up with her uh, household work and her child. And this was leading, she was becoming irritable and frustrated. And she would feel that I'm not able to give my 100% to everything. She was going into depression. So looking at her, this state, her husband and her mother-in-law used to tell her that she should give up her job for some time, at least till she gets tuned to the situation of her life, and then she can resume it back. And this was again hurting her. So she was somehow trying to balance everything, the workplace and her child and her work at home and everything. And what was bothering her was that she was a perfectionist in her uh, everything that she took up, be it anything. And now she was not giving her 100% in any of it. So that was pulling her down, that was pulling down her morals, that was uh, leading to she not doing anything, not exercising, and gradually putting on weight, and also losing losing her confidence. So this was the case. So let us study this anatomy of the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is situated in the lower end of the neck, below the larynx, which has two lobes, the right lobe and the left lobe. And it is on either sides of the trachea. Okay, so what is the function of thyroid gland is to produce the hormone thyroxine. And thyroxine helps in regulation and conversion of the nutrients of the food that we have into energy. In the early stages of evolution, thyroid was an exocrine gland where the secretion of the thyroid gland were released into intestines through ducts. But after the rupture of gullet, the evolution of thyroid became in the evolution, the thyroid became an endocrine gland. That is, the secretion were directly released into the bloodstream. The controlling center in the brain is the brainstem, and the gland originates from endoderm. So again, here is the thyroid gland, an H-shaped gland. This is the right lobe of the thyroid, and this is the left lobe of the thyroid gland. So the right half of the thyroid gland is controlled by the right side of the brainstem, whereas the left side of the thyroid gland is controlled by the left side of the brainstem. So what is important is, in this case, there is no crossover correlation from brain to organ. So now we study the biological conflicts, that is, what affects the thyroid. In line with the evolutionary reason, the primary conflict associated with brainstem control organs. So as we studied earlier, thyroid is a brainstem control organ and is derived from endoderm. So the conflicts which affect these organs are the morsel conflict. Here again, this picture shows the thyroid gland, and I'll explain you further in the next slide. Okay. So the right half of the thyroid gland, it relates to the ingoing morsel conflict. Ingoing morsel conflict is not being fast enough to catch up to something. They want something very badly. They want maybe multiple things very badly, and they are not able to cope up. They are not able to take hold of the thing in a particular limit of time, maybe, or they badly want a promotion and they are not getting it. So these things affect the right side of the thyroid gland. So if a person wants something very badly, but is unable to get it, or does not get opportunity to grab it, or if he's too slow to get hold of it, then the right side is affected. Also, not being fast enough to procure something he wants. So this could be a job, fulfillment, a promotion, exam test, contract, business, purchases. So these things are something, the person wants in his life, and he's trying very hard, but he is not able to get hold of it. Then the right side of the thyroid is affected, and we call this as the ingoing muscle conflict. Similarly, the left half of the thyroid gland, so this gets affected when a person does not desire something and he is not able to expel it or throw it out of the system. It is like he wants to vomit out something, he wants to throw out something, but he is not able to do it. He is not fast enough to expel a morsel. So this is what we call as the outgoing morsel, means not being fast enough to eliminate the morsel. If a person badly wants to get rid of something but is too slow to expel or act, it could be a proposal kept in mind but didn't happen, a term paper, a re-exam, a guilt he wants to apologize for, and some deadlines which they don't want in their life, some limitations which they don't want in their life, and they want to expel it and they are not able to do it, then the left side of the thyroid gland is affected. Okay, so what takes place in the conflict active phase? Say a person has gone through some conflict. It could be ingoing morsel conflict or the outgoing morsel conflict. So during this phase, the thyroid gland cells, they proliferate. Why would they proliferate? Because he is not able to catch something at a pace which he wants. So now for that, he needs energy. And for the energy, they need more amount of thyroxine. So if they want to increase the thyroxine, the brain sends signal for the thyroid cells to proliferate. But how much do they proliferate? They proliferate proportionally to the intensity of the conflict. So the brain senses the amount of thyroxine the person needs and the cell proliferation takes place. So the biological purpose here being to increase the secretion of thyroxine so that the individual becomes faster to catch the desired morsel or to expel the undesired morsel. How does the increased thyroxine level help the person? So the increased thyroxine level will causes hypothyroidism, and the symptoms of which are the person will become hyperactive. So he will get excited, he will get, there is continuous process of thinking. He may become sleepless, he may become irritable, his systolic pressure may raise. So these are the symptoms which we see when the amount of thyroxine released increases. Also, there will be presence of hot nodules, the nodules that produce excess thyroid hormone. So these hot nodules are seen on the scan as they absorb more amount of the isotopes, and that is the way you can see them. In conflict phase, if the conflict phase is prolonged and hanging, if the conflict is not resolved easily, there will be continuous cell augmentation and proliferation on the corresponding lobe, as a result of which the thyroid gland on that side will become hard and forms what we call as goiter. And depending upon the size of the goiter, it presses upon the trachea. It may lead to breathlessness. Okay, here we come to the healing phase. So always after a conflict, when the conflict takes place, there is proliferation of cells, thyroxine level increases, you become overthinking and all that, and then gradually you come to terms with the situation. So naturally, if you come to terms with the situation, the conflicts gets resolved. So when following the resolution of the conflict, that area of thyroid attracts fungi and bacteria to decompose the extra cells which had got proliferated, so that the thyroxine should come to its normalcy. So in that case, what we see in that part of thyroid gland will be, there will be pain because there is swelling. It can lead to difficulty in swallowing or breathing. There will be inflammation of the thyroid gland, which we call as thyroiditis. And with the completion of healing phase, that is when the proliferated cells are decomposed, the thyroxine level comes to normal. However, what can happen is the conflict was there. So now the conflict is resolving, but suddenly there is another conflict. So what happens is there is cell proliferation and decomposition, proliferation and decomposition, as a result of which the healings are continually interrupted and there is prolonged decomposition of the cells, as a result of which the thyroid gland cells reduce, the tissue reduces, and the condition that we see now is hypothyroidism. So however, with the healing hanging, that is when the healing phase is interrupted, conflict relapses, the prolonged decomposition process results in the loss of thyroid gland tissue that leads to hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's disease. Okay. So in this chart, we see in the normal state, that is normotonia, there is sympathetic cotonia and vagotonia. That is, this is during the daytime, that is, the person is active, working and all, and this is during the rest time, that is the night time. And this is a healthy state which should continue. But whenever there is a conflict, for example, in this case of hypothyroidism, there is a morsel conflict. So whenever there is a conflict, the conflict active phase sets in, where there is proliferation of thyroid gland cells to release thyroxine, resulting into hyperthyroidism. So here we have overexcitement, restlessness, then sleeplessness, continuous thinking, and other symptoms. And if this is prolonged, then it results in the formation of goiter. At certain state, the conflict resolution takes place when you come down to your senses, when you adapt to the situation, when you feel it's okay. So your conflict resolves. During resolution, the healing phase starts, and the healing phase, there is edema exudation, that is, fungi and bacteria are attracted and they will start decomposing the cells, the additional tissue which was formed. They will start, there will be swelling of the thyroid leading to thyroiditis. And at a certain stage, when the edema is maximum, the sympathetic conia is raised to such a level that it leads to epileptoid crisis, which results in muscle spasm, restlessness, nausea, elevated BP. The person may suffer from cold sweats, but then it resolves in, say, few hours to 3 days times, it comes down. And then there is this scarring, after which there should be healing again. Healing as in there should be normotonia. This has completely healed. But if the conflict relapses, continuous hanging healing conflict will lead to more and more decomposition of the thyroid tissue, leading to hypothyroidism. Okay, so here again, this is just to summarize what we have seen till now. During the conflict active phase, whenever there is a conflict, there is the conflict affects at 3 levels: the psyche, the brain, and the organ. So when the psyche is affected during the conflict active phase of hypothyroidism, there is compulsive thinking, extra waking hours to resolve the conflict as soon as possible. At the level of brain, there will be sharp ring, HH in the brain stem, which will be seen on the CT scan. And in the organ, you will see proliferation of thyroid tissue, adenocarcinoma secretory type. During the healing phase, the changes at psych level is you have resolved the problem. Your psych is in a state of relief, means you have come in terms with the condition. So diffused ring HH in the brainstem, brain edema, dizziness, and dull headache. Organ में in the organ there is tissue breakdown of additional thyroid cells. And in this epileptoid crisis, where the sympathetic hypotonia is at its maximum, typically occurs during a time of rest, vacation, night time in the psych. The extent is determined by the conflict, and patient relieves the conflict. In the brain, the edema is pushed out. There will be increased urination. And in organ, there is sympathetic surge. So now we will come to hypothyroidism and its symptoms. We have studied why it has occurred and how it has occurred. So what happens in hypothyroidism is there are symptoms of fatigue. Because the thyroxine levels are low, there will be fatigue. The patient will be low in energy, and it slows down the body metabolism. So he may suffer from constipation and other symptoms like hair loss, dryness of skin, sensitivity to cold. The heart rate slows down, and because the metabolism has become slow, there is weight gain. There is constipation, irritability, and sluggishness. So initially, when I narrated the case, we saw that the patient had come with these symptoms also. He had constipation, irritability, on and off headaches, and the test showed hypothyroidism. So that is why I have not considered these to be treated, because once the hypothyroidism is taken care of, automatically these are going to go. What we learn from this whole process, like whatever we have studied, is that whenever there is a morsel conflict, first we see hyperthyroidism, and then because of the hanging healing conflict, hypothyroidism comes into action. So hypothyroidism is always preceded by hyperthyroidism. So now we will try to connect GNM with the understanding of the case I narrated. So here you see, this is my patient. She is trying to balance her office work and her baby and her homely chores. She is terrified. It is very hard for her to balance all these, but she wants to do it. She doesn't want to leave anything. She wants to grab everything that she has here, and because of which she is becoming depressed and she becoming irritable and not happy with her situation. Continually working at the same time taking care of the baby. So maybe there was a lockdown and she's working at home and what. So these all things are, continually making her think, and as a result of which she is not able to grab those, she has come down to hypothyroidism. Okay, so how did I manage this case? What was the therapy that was given to her? The most important thing, which when she came to me, I knew that she was ambitious. I knew that she would take steps to resolve things in her life because she wanted everything. So what I first did was I made her understand as to why she has come down with hypothyroid. So that is very important, because it was not only that I wanted to her not to take the medicine and get relieved of the symptoms of hypothyroid, but we also wanted to stop her Thyronorm, which she was already taking for last 1 year. So it is, what is important is to finally resolve the conflict in the real life, to make her understand that these were the reasons that your thyroid is fired. So this was it. And when they come into when they get that clear picture, their understanding clears up, and they also have confidence that yes, they can reverse it. If they are not into if they can manage the situation, the present situation, they will be able to manage it. I also had to counsel her regarding the thyroxine substitute by letting her know that if she is not going to leave it, say if the thyroxine substitute is given early, that is before hanging healing stops, she was into hanging healing state, because every time she felt that she was better, but something used to crop up. Oh, I have to do this also. I want this also. Oh, there's a function I have to attend. Oh, there's a program in the college which I have to be present. So there was a hanging healing conflict. And if the substitute is given before, what will happen is you are giving thyroxine from outside. So you are letting the brain or the body know that there is sufficient amount of thyroxine. So it reduces further the production of thyroxine, as a result of which then you have to take lifelong medication. You cannot reverse it. So by talking to her, by attending her calls, by counseling her, I could convince her to gradually taper down the thyroid medicine which she was taking. And it took us almost 1.5 years to completely stop the medicine. After the conflict ends, if yet the thyroid hormone production doesn't start, then we intervene with medicine. Okay. So here is her report, which was, I think, another 3-4 months back, which we got. Her TSH levels are 2.82. So I normally give a thought of affirmation to my patient, and to this patient of mine, she was intelligent, she was ambitious, she wanted to do things, but she was not in a state of mind which she was not in a state of mind to accept the situation she was into. So this was the thought of affirmation that I gave her, that I am fast enough. I don't need to be in haste. And a very well-known proverb, slow and steady wins the race. Putting this into her mind, bombarding her with this gradually helped us both to resolve her thyroid problem. But it was not that she left her job. She still continues with her job. But she tells to herself, there is always another time. There is always going to be tomorrow, and I can do it. So she is not a person who stepped down, but she got aware of the situation, and this awareness is very important. So when you are aware that what is your priority now, what you can do a little later, the conflicts gets resolved very easily. Lastly, thanking you all for your patient listening. Hope you were able to grasp and learn the application of GNM in cases of thyroid. Also, my sincere thanks to Dr. Varghese for bringing us all together on this platform, for making this event a grand event. And thank you all for being patient with me, because this is a give and take platform where I myself am learning from others. Also, when I was preparing my presentation, I have learned a lot extra things which I did not in the first grasp get it. So thank you all so much.